Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Bible. My name is Rogan, and you are watching The Mysterious Stoner in a Bowler. If you're joining us for the first time, let me clarify exactly what is going on around here, because you probably have no idea. This series is all about taking the Bible at face value and looking at what is the good, the bad, yes, I said that, within the Bible, because I have lived off this book. I grew up as the son of a missionary. Not just a missionary, but also an army chaplain. Not just an army chaplain, but a man who went to Bible seminary. A man who made his family read the Bible, the King James original version, every single morning. And he took a lot of the beliefs in it pretty far. Pretty ridiculously seriously. In many ways that you would never see in church or publicized on television. But some of which were recorded and has been out there. But I am here to provide a more common sense look at this. I used to believe, like my father did, and like a lot of other Christians, I had a lot of similar beliefs to a lot of modern day Christians. A lot of different ones too, mind you, though. My parents homeschooled me for all 12 of my basic education years. So that's created quite a individual of myself, I guess you could say. I came out of that cult-like style of beliefs that my parents held and left behind Christianity, but there were things in the Bible that I couldn't deny were still true. Some things, not everything. And so it's been a long time since, but I have been going through the Bible on here and just sharing what I've been going through. I've had time to spend in the real world. I left Christianity when I was in my early 20s, and I'm 32 now. And I have other spiritual beliefs. I went through being an atheist for a while, and then an agnostic, and now I have a whole set of beliefs of my own, based from my own experiences and my own studies that I've done of what I think is the truth about reality. But this series is for not talking about that. It's just for, because I believe in taking things, a lot of things, at face value. We can't do that with the Bible 100%, because the Bible is, unfortunately, a very complicated book. No matter how many times you simplify it, it's never going to be right. In fact, the more you simplify it, the more you get away from what it's actually trying to say a lot of the time. Because the Bible was not originally written in English. It was written in multiple different languages. And not to mention written a very long time ago under completely different circumstances within the world. Written by people who thought completely different than how we did today. Well, not completely, but a lot. We have a lot of differences. And we're going to talk about some of those differences today, but also some of the good things. So without further ado, let's dive right into the book of Leviticus chapter 25. We start off with a positive little tidbit right here in verses 35 to 37. If thy brother be waxen poor, and falleth in decay with thee, that means he's fallen on hard times, a neighbor, a brother, someone you know, if someone you know has fallen into rough times, then thou shalt relieve him, yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee. This is basically encouraging people to take care of each other amongst the people of Israel, including with strangers who are going through a rough time, who are just traveling through. Take thou no usury of him. That means if he borrows money from you, don't charge him, the word escapes me, interest. It did not escape me. Interest. Do not charge him interest, like a bank. But fear thy God, that thy brother may live with thee, that thou shalt not give him thy money upon usury, nor lend him thy victuals for increase. This is saying, treat your neighbors, treat your strangers like you would your friend. If you lend him 20 bucks, 20 pounds, 20 euros, 20 rubles, whatever, then only ask for the 20 rubles, the 20 pounds, the 20 whatever. Just ask for that exact amount back. You are not to act like a bank. I don't know what this God's policy is on banks and interest, but when it comes between just man to man, we're just trying to help each other out. The basic point is here, don't screw someone over who needs your help. Just be fair. That's all that's being asked, is to be fair. Give him what he needs, and when they are able to pay it back, just don't demand for them to pay back extra in addition to what they owe you. Or if you're feeling extra generous, don't have them pay you back at all. There's nothing wrong with that too. In fact, some might argue that it could be better for you in the long run. If you believe in karma or things of that nature, the more you can help people who can't help you back, the more positive karma you gain. That's what some people believe. I don't know if it's true for a fact. I like to think it is, but I'm not saying it's a fact myself. Let's carry on to the spicy shit. Now, leading up to the spicy shit, we gotta understand what is going on. We gotta understand the background of what is being discussed here in order to understand the full level of heat that is within these verses, okay? So, the beginning of chapter 25 is talking about this huge celebration that happens about once every 7 years. And then it's compounded to where there's an extra big party every 50th year. But the main thing is this 7-year celebration is called, on the 7th year, they have this party called the Year of Jubilee that lasts kind of like the whole year. Maybe it's not a party the whole year, but they are supposed to stop working their fields, stop farming for the entire year. They're supposed to let their land rest. And they're not supposed to harvest or till it or anything. And they just let it rest. And God promises to provide extra food and such if they do this. And in addition to this, on this 7th year, there's a lot of things that happen that are talked about within chapters 25, 26, and 27. A lot of properties that are sold under certain conditions are returned to their previous owners. There are people who have been, they've gone into, well, they call it slavery, but into a form of employment to work off their debt. And after 7 years, under the right conditions, a lot of people go free from their debts, from their indebted slavery. So it's a really huge, big, good event. so to speak. So I'm not saying slavery is good, but they're letting people go free after a certain point. It's good in general. Not getting into the full details of it because it's a very cultural based thing. There's a lot more details in it that I'm just not getting into. But you got to understand that there are people going free for this event. Now, the spicy shit. Verses 39 to 43 is talking about servants, bond servants, and people being freed and being returned for the year of Jubilee. Good stuff, right? You see, those servants that were being referred to, that were being set free, those were all Israel slaves. Those were Israelites owning each other. But they didn't just own each other. Because the rules changed when it came to non-Israeli slaves. What God had to say, both thy bondmen and thy bondmaids, verse 44, which thou shalt have shall be of the heathen that are round about you. Of them shall ye buy bondmen and bondmaids. Moreover, of the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall ye buy, and of their families that are with you, which they begat in your land, and they shall be your possession. And ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for possession. They shall be your bondmen forever. Literally, that's what it says, verse 46. But over your brethren, the children of Israel, ye shall not rule one another with rigor. That's how it ends. It speaks for itself. This God has issues. He's playing favorites. He's very much playing favorites here. If God was so moral, and I'm not referring to the Hebrew God in this case, because I have to clarify that, because the Hebrew people have a very different understanding of Yahweh, of the Old Testament God. He's very different than from how Christians understand him. And I would like to know what the modern scholars who teach in synagogues have to say about these things and how they apply these lessons to their modern lives today. I don't believe that they all still think this way. I know that Christians who read and believe in the Bible, that there are many who do not condone slavery or racism or anything of that nature. And I am more than certain there are plenty of Israeli people who worship Yahweh who probably do not believe in racism or anything of that nature as well. They might, on account of the Torah, they might think their nation is better than everyone else. But honestly, every nation of people thinks that they're better than everyone else. Like, come on, let's give them a break. This is just their religion telling them that their nation's better than everyone else. It's just one step beyond patriotism when you throw religion in there. And I think we can kind of, let them have their pride because they've been through a lot of shit in history. So they understand this God very differently. This is a problem. This is a problem that Yahweh makes this huge difference between allowing Israeli people to be released on the Year of Jubilee, but when it comes to the heathens and the strangers, and, oh, by the way, it's perfectly fine if you buy their children too, according to the Bible. Just that's according to the Bible. I don't agree with that. But God says it's okay. This God. I'm not saying the real God, or the real gods that are out there. I'm saying this one. And I respect whatever truth people who believe in Yahweh can get out of it, but this is a really hard one to not get over. And my main thing is with Christians who take this and think they can add it to a God of love and think that this somehow fits in with love by allowing people at one time to have been to be okay with them to be slaves. Like God created, from my understanding, from how I was taught, all these rules that God made in the Old Testament were made so that it could show how flawed mankind was. If you want to make someone feel like shit, give them a list of things that are virtually impossible to do. Don't be reasonable with them. Don't let them try and take it one day and one step at a time. Just dump it all on them at once. Make them feel like crap. Yeah, that's very easy to do. It's very easy to just discourage someone. But humans are so capable. And this God likes to beat people down. But on the New Testament side of things, if you're taking that seriously, that version of God, there's a part of Christian belief that this God wants to lift you up and build you up and make you into a better person. And becoming a better person is what we should all strive to be. That's great. But you can't have a God tell you you need to be the best person you can while telling you at the same time to be racist to other. That doesn't fit. Okay, that's because ultimately you need to work with other people to make a better world. You can't. This is a divisive concept. To say that you're better than others. Like, I understand a difference, and I understand having a pride in being different in your individualism. The ego has its value. It has its importance. We need our confidence in ourselves. We need to be our own hero at the end of the day. But we need each other as well. We are social creatures. Everyone needs everyone else for everything to work. And if the Christian God really understood that, you would think he would have been telling the Israelites, hey, I don't want you to have slaves at all. I know it's really unpopular. I know everyone else is doing it. And it might not even be that great for your economy, but if you depend on me, I will help you out, and we are going to change the world for the better, and we will rid the world of slavery. It's going to be awesome. People are going to love you, and they're going to praise me. But instead, we had slavery on and on and on for a very long time, and we still have it today in some countries, unfortunately. It's kind of embarrassing, and I mean, and it wasn't, and ending slavery for those countries, the vast majority of civilized countries, that wasn't headed by Israel. That gradually happened over time, and different places did it, and supposedly the one nation that was founded upon Christianity, supposedly, was one of the last nations to get rid of slavery. England. The people that we broke off from to gain our independence ended slavery before America ended slavery. And America is supposedly built on Christian values. You can see now why we may have had a little bit of a difficult time letting go of that, because Christianity draws from the Old Testament and kind of clings to that. It's like, well, it's there, it's important, God said it was okay at one time, and then they continued to say it was okay for a really long time afterwards, and then we're still dealing with this crap. Like, why isn't God helping us out better? It's part of why I don't believe in the Christian God anymore. He just doesn't step in and help like the good side of him promises that he would. He just doesn't. But then it gets even spicier, you might say. God has a little bit more left to say to the people of Israel before the book ends. He wants to talk about some blessings he wants to give if you follow him and what he tells you. And he goes for the first 13 verses of chapter 26, talking about all the great things he's going to do if you follow him and do what he tells you to do. If you can manage. It's a lot to keep up with. Good luck. Props to the people that can, and believe the modern, much more civilized version of it today. But after God talks about all these blessings he's going to bestow on any who follow him, he gets into what he's going to do if you don't. Now get this. He doesn't just say what he's going to do if you don't do what he says. He takes double the amount of verses he said about how much he was going to bless the children of Israel to talk about how much he was going to curse them. He takes 13 verses to talk about all the blessings and 26 to talk about all the bad shit he's going to do to fuck their asses up. Not only does he take double the time to talk about all the threats and violence, but 4 times, he talks about going all out. Get this. Verse 18. And if you will not yet for all this hearken unto me, then I will punish you 7 times more for your sins. Verse 21. And if ye walk contrary unto me, and will not hearken unto me, I will bring 7 times more plagues upon you according to your sins. Verse 24. Then I will also walk contrary unto you, and will punish you yet 7 times for your sins. Verse 28. Then I will walk contrary unto you also in fury, and I, even I, will chastise you 7 times for your sins. He doesn't say anything like that for the blessings. Nowhere does he ever say, and 7 times I will bless you in cattle, and 7 times I will bless you in offspring, and 7 times I will bless you in crops. None of that. He doesn't do any of that. I'm sorry to say it, but he acts way more excited about beating your ass than blessing your ass. That's how he's coming across to me. I'm sorry. This God is like, he's not the glass is half full type of guy. He's like, the glass is not only half empty, but there's dust particles in the air, and just don't drink the fucking water, or I'll kill you. That's kind of feels. And then scooting right along to the last chapter, chapter 27. We got something kind of interesting here, which I have mentioned once or twice in previous chapters, but I don't think I've had it quite as prominent here. At least not when it comes to money. In previous episodes, there's been 1 or 2 spots about where God talks about the specifics of gifts that he wants given to him. He's very picky. Not extremely appreciative of what you can afford. He's very particular. Not that he doesn't have alternatives for cheaper people, but he is quite picky. But in chapter 27, this is talking about, in regards to vows, pledges being given to God, things being dedicated to God. And I just wanted to point this out, rather interesting. Because, it is technically, I guess it's a religious thing. Obviously. That's going on here. But, I'm just going to say it. Verse 2, speak unto the children of Israel. This is coming from God to Moses. He says, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when a man shall make a singular vow, the persons shall be for the Lord by thy estimation. I do not pretend to understand what that entirely means, but keep paying attention. And thy estimation shall be for the male from 20 years old, even unto 60 years old, even thy estimation shall be 50 shekels of silver, after the shekel of the sanctuary. What does that sound like to you? I'm no expert. And there are more than likely things hidden here that I do not understand. But from what I'm looking at here, it looks like when someone wants to make a vow, a special pledge to God of some kind, they have to pay money. I'm not going to get into it, but you may find this interesting. The male has a special price, 50 shekels, and the female is 30 shekels. I don't get all huffy and mad. This is from an ancient culture. They were less civilized back then. I mean, they were being racist and they were into slavery, so they were also sexist as well. They had the entire package going. My focus here is the money. Why does God need money? Money. Money, money, money. Why is God always asking for money? Like, if he needs it that bad, why isn't he straight up asking for it out of the clouds? So we got all these other guys saying, well, if you're going to do this in regards to the church, if you want to make a vow to God of any nature, money, that'll be 50 shekels, please. Why? There are so many gifts. There are so many other things that are already going towards the priests for them being taken care of and all that stuff, which, I mean, if God were all that great, he could be taking care of them himself. That would be the real miracle. If they didn't have to grow any food or go out and hunt or anything like that, and God just provided for them like he did for Elijah the prophet, have the birds bring them meat and bread instead of all the people of Israel, because that would be way more miraculous, and that would be like a very consistent daily reminder of God's power if he was providing for his priests instead of having to depend on the people. Like, it's great that they want to do stuff, but you shouldn't have to demand gifts from them. I mean, God's all about, well, this God seems to be all about beating humanity down and keeping them in their place, because for some reason at the Tower of Babel, if they worked together too much, God was afraid of what they might do, which is why he had to change their languages. That's the rumor anyways. Really, I'm sorry, that's one of my favorite Bible stories, I think. It's really doesn't make God look all that powerful when if he's afraid of humans coming together, and he's telling them to be racist against each other, he's telling them they can enslave each other and buy each other's children and charging them money. And you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the condolences from the Catholic Church. Like, is this where they got it from? For those of you who aren't familiar, there was a time when the Catholic Church sold these, I'm pretty sure they were called condolences. They were these papers that gave religious permission to sin. You could pay money to the church for a specific sin, and I don't know how it worked. Maybe it was like a specific amount of money for a type of sin, but you could pay for your sin ahead of time and then go do the sin and not feel bad about it. So like that's just one step beyond this right here. They talk about a vow for adults. They talk about dedicating children. They want money for that. Less money, but they still want money. 20, what is it? No, five shekels for a male child, 3 shekels for a female child. If they want to like dedicate it and make a prayer offering to God, they got to pay money for that. Like, where is the... And then the same with like dedicating a house, and like you're paying someone. Oh yeah, and the priest has to come by and like check it and make sure it's okay and everything's within the right order. And then you pay for money on top of that. There's it's this is a lot of rules about money and land and racism and sexism and just like it's a whole mess of things that this book is about. And I would also be curious to see where the religion of Judaism or Hebrew, not, I guess it would be Judaism. The religion the religion that is based on the Torah, the first 5 books. It would be interesting to see where they are today, as far as what they believe in regards to a lot of these things, because there's different sects of them that believe in certain portions of the Bible, of the Old Testament. Some believe in just the first 5 books, some believe in more. And so it'd be interesting to see where the more popular, more modern ones are, as far as some of those beliefs, those older, crazier beliefs go. I'd like to know what their explanation is. As far as the Christian explanation, well, they think God was allowing people to be okay with, or God was like basically peddling to their baser desires. Like he was allowing them to do it for the sake of the times. It's not a great argument, in my opinion, because, well, I already told you. God should have been helping them step up, be an example, and they weren't. They weren't. And I'm sure people get something out of the Yahweh OG style of religion, and so I'm doing my best to not put it down. And there's a lot of truth in Christianity as well, but that one's a lot harder for me to not put down because I know a bit more about that and about how that came to be. And if you would like to know how Christianity came to be, I have 3 videos about that you would probably very much enjoy seeing, with plenty of information and links to go with it that you can do more research on and look into more of yourself if you would like to. And so I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any comments, any thoughts, if you know, maybe if you know anything about what modern day synagogue leaders, Hebrew teachers think of these passages, feel free to share them in the comments below. I would love to hear about it. I would love to know what the modern day believers, followers of the Torah think of these passages, how they interpret them into, like, what do they do with those verses? Like, for real, do they end up ignoring them too, or like do they? I'm sure some of them have an explanation, but it would be really interesting to know. I'd love to hear about it. But that is it for this episode. Next time we'll be getting into the book of Numbers. Pretty sure it's less boring of a book than what it sounds like. There are entire chunks of it that are nothing but genealogies and names, and we are going to skip those parts because we're not here for that. We are here for the basic stuff we can just look at and see, like, is this okay? Like, is this okay to mimic? Is this worth Replicating? Slavery? No. Selling children? No. Racism? No. Sexism? Absolutely not. I believe men and women are equal in their respective ways. But be kind to your fellow neighbors. Don't charge them interest. When you lend them money, hey, one positive point out of, I lost count. But hey, at least they got one thing in there. So come back next time. Next episode will probably be, I'm thinking, another Patch the Pirate review. With a guest, an outside source, outside opinion, man. Tiresome day. You have a fantastic rest of your weekend. I will see you next time. Stay safe, and until next time, my friends, farewell.